A scene for shivering, a DYAD in the Force.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to another episode of DYAD in the Force, episode 227.
Dang.
I don't know. Each week it gets the number counts up by one, and each week I'm like, dang, we're getting up there. But I mean, it's true.
Yeah, no, it's just surprising to hear. You know what I mean? Like, because once we get rolling, we're just talking, we're just hanging out. You know, we're hanging out with the chat and doing our thing, and so it's just a weird reminder. Like, it makes it all real.
Shout out to everybody on the TikTok side. Darth Angel says, hello, everyone, in his Australian accent. I don't know if you're Australian, Darth Angel, but you said hello, so that's how I'm going to read it.
Did you just say hello?
In today's episode...
Was that a Labyrinth reference, Darth Angel? Let me know.
In today's episode, we're going to revisit some rankings in Jedi and Sith. I did see... one of your videos that you reacted to. I think it was like, I don't know why it's showing me like clips from April, but you reacted to like someone ranking the Sith, and it was filled with Wookieepedia blurb information.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to, talk about that. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We have Kenny, who says, might hear soon if you two are going to defend Mace. I have to be there for Dooku. Yeah, so this is a question we got last week that we said we were going to go into depth on, but we never, our minds...
Listen, stuff happened, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking, we're hanging out, my bad.
But yeah, in addition to that, we're going to be talking about the possibility of an Obi-Wan Season 2, whether or not it's going to happen, and what story could they possibly even tell? But before that, what's going on, Choco? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm having something strange going on. So I haven't made a video. I haven't quite figured out how best to address this at this point. But there's a new person pretending to be me. The difference is this time they are actively messaging people a bunch. And saying Star Wars quotes to just random people, and so some of them are reaching out, but I don't know how far reaching it is. It's not me. It's like Darth Choco 56 or something like that. And apparently they're doing it on both TikTok and Instagram, which is actually worrisome because I do Instagram so little that I fear people might think it is me. Stop it. Like, who does that? That's so...
Is that all they're doing? Just sending quotes?
To my knowledge, so far, yes.
Hopefully. Shout out to Craig McGuinn in the chat. If Windu and Dooku were both in their primes at the same time, I think Dooku would win. But Dooku was past his prime by the point of the Phantom Menace. Marianne says, I will always vote Mace. Eric in the chat, Eric Debunks, how's it going? Welcome to the show. I think it's your first time with us. Love your videos. Stay fighting the good fight. Craig McGuinn says, that awkward moment when I legit cannot remember the last live stream where Choco is completely clean shaven. Choco's face is finally Choco now.
Yeah, it feels weird. I hadn't shaved my beard or anything with my hair in like a very long time, and so like that's one of the reasons why I'm not wearing a hat right now, is like after I shaved it, everything felt so free. My hair is so curly that it all grabs each other, and you can and I didn't realize that tension kind of had been building for a while, and like it's free.
I mean, you guys don't want me to go clean shaven because then I would look like a fucking prepubescent just born off the boat Asian. How would you describe your clean shaven or your kind of scruffy look or your shadow look? Is it cookies and cream or is it Rocky Road?
I don't even, it's butter brickle.
Butter
it's
brickle.
Yeah, it's a deep cut. Um, I don't know. I don't know what that means. My facial hair doesn't grow super fast though, so like it takes a while. There's no daily shadow here, if that's what we're getting at.
Darth Angel says, no, I'm Canadian French. Allo means hello in French. Allo. Now it makes sense. AJ says, not Kenobi 2. Let's see here. Y'all's podcast carried me through 2020. I used to run a Star Wars account because of y'all. Well, I appreciate you rocking with us for so long. And if you're back after a long period of time, welcome back.
And you know what? Even if you stopped running your Star Wars account, you still love Star Wars. So it's always welcome to hang out and talk Star Wars with everyone.
So currently our poll is at 62% Mace, 38% Dooku. And we have a lot of testimony on Dooku's and the chat. So we'll definitely get into it. Marianne says, oh my god, you're not wearing a hat. I wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't said anything.
Yeah.
I also never noticed you have a peak. If it went deeper, it'd be like Vegeta. Just kidding.
It's funny because it's like it's kind of a widow's peak, but it's more that my little brother threw a plastic train track and it hit me in the head, and things just grow weird there.
Do you whenever you get your stuff lined, do you take it off?
Yeah, I normally just take it off.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Shout out to Chase in the chat. Forward into the black. How's it going, Count Dooku? A wimp? We'll get into it. Especially since we have Kenny in the chat. I think, okay. So, I want to talk Superman really quickly because we are in our sort of intro mixer, which is where we talk about other fandoms and stuff and what we're coming up with. So, we'll just, in the interest of saving time for Kenny, in case he needs to split, we're gonna bring him in, and then we're just gonna go ahead with our mixer, and then go into Count Dooku versus Mace. Here is Public Enemy number 256. I forgot to unmute him. 1 second. How's it going, Kenny?
Not too bad, guys. How you doing?
Doing good.
Doing good. You're in a garage this time, or
yes,
something.
I am actually down in the basement, technically speaking, in my house.
Nice.
Very, very nice. Have you seen Superman?
No, I have not. I've heard, obviously, mixed feelings on it. I've heard good. I've heard bad. I've heard actually some middle by even some big heavy TikTokers, even that of like Straw Hat Goofy and J Stubes. They're split down the middle with this film.
Yeah, I mean, that happens with every film, and not everybody is going to feel the same way. The most we can do is express our personal opinions, and I'm gonna come on here. I saw it last night, saying that it is our best Superman movie since Christopher Reeves.
That's all I can hope for.
Sorry,
honestly,
Snyder Bros.
Every single time I see a new Superman come out, I automatically, as an older generation, go to Chris. Every single time. I hate doing it because I think Brandon Routh did a damn good job, and this last one was actually pretty damn good too. But it's so hard to top somebody who is that genuine to a character, not just on screen but also off as well.
Yeah. I would. So Lord Group says 10 out of 10 for me. I would give it I never give anything a 10 out of 10, but I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. I was tremendously pleased with the film. You know, me and Choco and a bunch of us were talking about it, you know, as things were kind of coming to a head in terms of release, and I had issues with the trailer, things that I was seeing and concerns, and one of which was like, is this going to be like a ensemble instead of a Superman movie? And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. Chuck, have you seen it? Are you going to see it?
I absolutely am going to see it, but I have not seen it just yet.
Okay. So to keep things spoiler free, it wasn't an ensemble Guardians of the Galaxy kind of copy. Sure, everybody that you see in the trailer is there. They have their roles. But essentially what makes this a really good, really great Superman film is that it had something to say. You know, it had a really, really clear and thoughtful and profound message to tell with Superman. And despite that, one of the big things that I was hoping for was that Lex Luthor would be categorically a huge threat. And he was.
He's always a threat.
And
like, I've never seen a Lex Luthor who has not been a threat. Not a one. They've all had their qualities. They've all had their own individualism, if you will. Like, each actor who takes on that role has brought something to it. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you could say that about the actors. What I'm referring to is the storytelling of how they portrayed Lex, right? First of all, yes, Nicholas Hoult does a tremendous job as Lex, but the way they use Lex against Superman here in this movie, it almost feels like at points you're like, how is Superman gonna come out on top on this one, right? And that's what was perfect about it, because sometimes we would get the comical Lex. It was like, oh, I hate you, Superman. And sometimes we would get the Lex that tries to be some sort of like Lord Byron. Like, what's his name? Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg with the paintings and like, but like Nicholas Hoult plays a perfect Lex Luthor who is a CEO, who is obsessed with destroying Superman. I was about to say Spider-Man. Superman. Spider-Man! and he actually has the tools and the intelligence and the wherewithal to take on Superman despite not having, obvious powers. So that's what really stood out for me, alongside the fact that the movie had a very profound message to tell. And it's not woke. It really is, like, as James Gunn has said in interviews, it is a message of kindness, and you see that 100% in the movie. And everyone should go see Superman this weekend or whenever you can. Not really compelling anyone to see it if they can't, but for sure, at least if you place any weight on my opinion, it was really, really good. Our best Superman since Reeves. And I mean, I hate to speak against I like to speak against Snyder Bros. It's true. Like, it was a god. Like, Snyder's Superman Snyder's Superman movies were god complex movies. There was no message. There was just, this is your testosterone filled muscle bound superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
That you worship.
So that's what I'm looking forward to the most, right? Because again, using like Christ-like imagery for Superman is just weird. Like, it is a core misunderstanding of the character of Superman, being created by two Jewish men, and Superman is obviously like more of an allegory of Moses. You know what I mean? And so it felt like Zack Snyder was jamming his own ideology into the character and not bringing the character to the big screen, which is why there was weird stuff, for me at least, with Pa Kent and like, his whole story. And so again, I haven't seen it yet, but the people who I have seen complain about it I take their complaint as an endorsement to go see it. If if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's how I feel. I'm super excited for it.
What would be the, I guess, amalgam message that people that are complaining about it in terms of the usual wokeness? What are they saying?
That it focuses on Superman being an immigrant, and he was never an immigrant before or whatever. And you're like, he's always been. That's literally his whole thing, is he's an alien. But the whole point of his character, is that he is Clark Kent. You know what I mean? Like, he is that good person. It doesn't matter where he comes from. It doesn't matter what level of power he has. He's just this good person. You know, that's like the whole point of the character. And so, again, the because of the complaints I've seen, it makes me more excited that they get the character right. I do have a question. You don't have to spoil anything. Nathan Fillion, does he suck, like, in the best way possible?
I mean, if you're asking because you know how the character of Guy Gardner is,
Guy Gardner sucks. He's an asshole, and I hate him. He's supposed to be okay. Yes, that's what I'm going to make sure. It's like, as long as they don't try to make me like Guy Gardner doing Guy Gardner things is what he needs to do, because he's, you know, the story foil.
Now,
right? He's the
I can't
Green Lantern
control.
foil.
I can't control how you might be endeared to him because of Nathan Fillion, but he does act like an asshole, just like you said. So, you know, it's like one of those things where, like, your favorite actor or something plays a villain, and you're like, dang, this guy is evil. I love you. Like, you know? But yeah.
I've never not known Nathan Fillion not playing a dick character. Even when he's playing the good guy, he's always a dick character. That is probably the best casting if you want to look at it from that angle.
I mean, you know what? Like, I don't know anything about Guy Gardner, but you tell me if I'm right in this. I think Mal from Firefly is pretty much Guy Gardner. If you gave Mal powers,
he would need to be a bit more selfish.
Yeah,
but I can see him approaching it.
Okay. Malik's in the chat. He's pretty much sharing his thoughts and echoing my review of Superman. I ascended in the theater. Lex was perfect. That's the Lex who thinks I need to make a child with my DNA in his. Also, there was a Superman fan named Malik in the movie. Gun, are you in my walls? I mean, you're not the only person named Malik. You know.
Hey, you know, there's something though. They're watching him. No, there is something to be said about casting a Lex Luthor who is literally an actor who auditioned for Superman. You know what I mean? Like Lex Luthor wishes he was so bad that he hates Superman because he can't be him. You know what I mean? And so that type of energy, yeah, is always fantastic. How was your girl?
I was going to say that Isabella Merced is fabulous. Now, obviously, like I said, the movie confirmed my concerns to be unjustified. They're not a huge part. They don't try to upstage Superman, but all of the scenes with her. Mm-hmm.
Does she ever go, Kal-El, no?
Spoiler alert, no, I don't think so. There was a point.
Maxwell Lord, you're. Sorry, I can't do it.
This isn't really a spoiler, but there's a point in the movie where she does something, and the theater went crazy. It was a quote she said, and I'm wondering if it's like part of her character to say that. but you know, I'm not familiar with.
It's
Hawk Girl.
clobbering time. No, I'll let you know.
I can't wait for that film. I really can't. Like, on one hand, Fantastic Four is going to be. It's not had a good track record. Every time they put out that film, it's not had a good track record.
I mean,
I'm hoping this next one will be the one that breaks the mold.
I wonder what it says. If like when it comes out and you're like, this is our best Final Fantastic Four movie. Like, what does that mean? It means
almost
right?
nothing. You know what? I still maintain that the first Fox one is better than people give it credit for being. Is it good? No, but I still feel like, you know, that one still kind of nailed Johnny Storm and it nailed Ben Grimm and like, you know, like I love that look for Doctor Doom. That look is sick.
Oh yes,
from that one. But
hands down.
We'll see.
I never truly had like really, really negative feelings towards that movie. I just, you know, at that time we had like the Fox X-Men and all that good stuff. Like, I was kind of expecting the whole kind of vibe where they were trying to cool superheroes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With leather suits and trying to take the comic out of the comic book movie. But it wasn't, I wouldn't call it a terrible movie.
Now,
But
the second one I would
Fanforstic.
call a terrible movie. Fanforstic.
I actually didn't mind the second. The second brought in that cheesy, campy stuff that we did not see in the first one. The first one took itself so serious, trying to match up with that of Spider-Man and the X-Men, all of these films predating the MCU. The second one needed to lessen itself up. I don't fault the second one for being a bad film, even though it was. It was a bad film that was good.
Also, they just didn't have. I just don't think they had the technology to do what they wanted to do. Like, stop making space clouds take over things. It's weird. I hate it. It's terrible.
Also, apparently, I think Julie Gardner's voice for Shala Ball, is that her Silver Surfer name?
Oh, the Silver Surfer?
Yeah. Apparently, people are like gung ho about how she delivered the lines in the trailer. It's like,
Okay,
I
I haven't
herald
seen the
your
new one.
end. I herald his beginning. And I forget what exactly she says, but
I'm glad to hear people coming around on it, because you're like, of course, like, you know, it's literally an alternate universe take on the Silver Surfer, where Shala Bal is Norrin Rad's wife, and you know, like, she died and he became Silver Surfer, and then this is an alternate universe, so it's probably the opposite. So I'm glad to see people kind of come around on that.
Malik says Cloud Lactus. Yeah, so Superman was great. Go see it. Let us know what you guys think. I actually put a lot of stock in Malik's opinion as well, so I'm glad that we are in agreement here about the movie. I was just thrilled to see a Superman that was about Superman and his intrinsic reflection versus like I said, versus being a god to people, you know.
By the way, the Superman and Lois show, also excellent portrayal of Superman. You know, but it's actually, the show is more heavily weighted towards like his kids and stuff. But yeah, it's an excellent one. I just have to ask really quick, Kenny. So are you? It looks like you're not working. So are you super pressed for time, or okay?
Welcome our
No.
guest for tonight, Kenny. We don't have a guest, but he was like, "I'm gonna be the guest." So
Yeah.
here he is.
If we're having this discussion, I need to come in and defend Dooku. That's all I need to do.
Absolutely. Well, reason I asked is because before we jump into that, I just wanted to bring up one other thing that I thought was really cool news. We got more information on the upcoming video game Ghosts of Yote, and it's looking good. It's gonna be so much fun. Obviously they introduce, in this one you are not going to be tied to just a katana, right? The main character has a pet wolf, has a katana, can dual wield katanas, can you use the spear, can use the odachi, and what they've, short bow, long bow, there's rifle, there's more options, and in lieu of the stances that you would do in the first game, you're going to use different weapons now in order to counter certain weapons more effectively, right? So that's what you're going to have to kind of do, and you're going to have to, sometimes you may be fighting a guy with a katana and then he pulls out a spear, so mid-fight you may have to switch up, your approach and stuff like that. There's going to be the potential to counter certain weapons where it actually knocks their weapon out of their hand, and vice versa. You can lose your weapon too, but you can also pick it up. You can pick up other weapons. You can throw your spear. You have to go pick it up, but it seems like they're also giving this a more open world approach rather than the story mode way the first game was approached, where you couldn't access certain parts of the map until you got to certain parts in the story. That's not really going to be the case, but again, it's going to be kind of an open world that you're exploring. You can actually buy maps from vendors, and one thing that's kind of cool is you physically have to put that piece on the map, on your game map. So you have to figure out where this actually fits. So I thought that's a kind of a cool thing.
Two big questions so far. Can you put the map in the wrong spot and get lost?
I hope not. But
that would be fantastic.
To prevent that. But
Second
one
question,
of the coolest things.
Second question, really quickly, based off of the information that you've said, are the weapons? You said that they're going off of, they're fleshing out, or I suppose elaborating more on the stance system. Is this more like a choice of weapon, like Skyrim and Elder Scroll, or is it just you have all of these weapons to switch to counter? Can you be a samurai archer and just do that the whole game?
Well, the way they showed it, you could literally equip all of these weapons at the same time and walk around like a Swiss Army knife and you'll be pulling stuff out. I don't think that's required, but you can certainly do it. And you unlock.
Historically, that makes more sense too.
Say that again.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of depictions of older, old samurai wielding those long pulled swords, having their main set swords, having their bows on them, like literally just stacked.
Yeah,
I love that detail
to the gills.
So their sword set was historically primarily decorative. They would pull it out if they needed to in close quarters combat, but they would usually carry hashi spears and bows, and that's it.
I mean, yeah, you want to kill them as far back as you can. And unlocking those weapons and things, you can choose where to go. So you can climb the mountains where one of the enemies is more like a shinobi village, and then that's where you unlock the kusanagani that you can use, or all types of stuff. But one of the last things I wanted, sickle and ball.
Kusarigami. Okay.
And the one of the last things I wanted to mention is they have a they brought back the Kurosawa mode, but this one also has a Watanabe mode where
Is it Last Samurai?
no. As in the director for Samurai Champloo. So you play with this mode, and you get Samurai Champloo inspired lo-fi tracks playing in the background while you roam around being samurai. How cool is that? That's all
cool.
I'm gonna do. That's the only mode I will ever play.
I want them to introduce. I want them to go further with the Kurosawa mode and introduce a Rashomon mode, where you don't know the ending until. Well, you play through the ending, and then you play the game, and then you get to the end, and it's totally different because you played.
You play it from a different perspective.
Different perspective. That's cool. Cool. It's shaping up. You know.
It's
Let's
got
see.
me real excited.
What else? One Piece.
No.
This anime has taken over my life. When I say I can't stop watching it, I literally can't. I'm at 600.
Oh, dang!
Good God!
Damn!
Holy!
This anime is playing in my when I'm out there grinding, it's playing. And so it's literally on 24/7, or not 24/7. Like, I do sleep, but when every waking moment, whether I'm in my car or here, it's on. And I understand everyone now. Everybody who has watched it, who is watching it, who's been keeping up with it for 25 years. It's truly special, you know.
So now
I'm
you
just
understand what I said about the Fishman Island arc, how it broke me, like, my emotions. Yeah.
That
I'm just happy you're enjoying it, Pep. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I could not try. I've tried multiple times. My kids are now trying to get into it.
how far have you gotten?
Me, episode 15.
See, I can't. I don't know how to explain it other than I also tried many times.
The same.
And then, like, at some point it clicks, you know. But I can't tell you to keep investing in something you're not enjoying. But there's a weird collective nature of the storytelling where they're constantly drawing from what they set up, and because this is so successful, and he knows he can write this however long he wants, he can now set up things that are going to pay off in 200 episodes, you know. And you're like, oh damn, like, that's what he was waiting for. And you're like,
I'm not besmirching the legacy that is One Piece.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the means. It's pop cultural references, it's pop cultural status, the whole nine yards. It exists. The fans exist. New fans are being found. Like, I do not disrespect anybody who has loved this anime for the last 25 years or last 6 months. It doesn't matter. For me, I'm just not into it.
that's fair. Nothing wrong with that.
That's fair. I will. The small amount of pushback that I will say is that I experienced the same thing as you.
So did I.
I watched the first 20 episodes like 6 times because I couldn't get into it, and that was over the course of months. Then I got up to 60, and it was kind of staling on me, you know. And then, you know, we would go to like Comic-Con, and then I would talk with Straw Hat Goofy, and he's like, I need your lore brain on this anime. And I'm like, I'm trying. And then I promised him, okay, I'll watch like 200 episodes in the next 2 months. Didn't do it. I was on 60 for like another year.
No.
I decided to put it on while I was doing other things. And it got to a point where I think I was like episode 110 or so. We were deep into it was I don't remember what episode it was. It was when Chopper's story started with Hero Luke and Dr. Korea, and I was like, this guy's like another Happy. Let me see what he's all about, right? And then I started watching it earnestly, and that transitioned from that arc. It transitioned into their first sweeping arc, which was Alabasta, and that took like almost, I think over 100 episodes, or maybe less than 100. But it was their first long one. That, like beforehand was just their island to island adventures and meeting new characters. That's when I got into it. So I get it if you're not into it. I know it's a lot of heavy lifting to try to get as deep into an anime as possible to get into it. But I promise you, if you do get deep into it, you will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, and my experience is exactly the same. I was like, I couldn't get into it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it on because I don't super care a whole ton. I'm going to put it on while I'm grinding in Destiny 2. And then all of a sudden I realized I'm no longer playing the game. I'm just watching the show. But that for me, that happened somewhere around. But the thing is, for me, is when I was watching it, I didn't dislike it. It was like, for me, it was like just eating oatmeal. Like it was just there. It's like, it doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste bad. There's nothing wrong with it. So yeah, sure, you can do it. And yeah. So I have a very, very similar story.
Paul says, what anime? We're talking about One Piece. Anyone playing Death Stranding 2 and thoughts? I'm trying to play Death Stranding 1 first. I have a lot of games that I want to play, but right now One Piece is the centerpiece of everything. So let me get to like episode 12,000 and then I can continue with the other games.
Every time I try to play it, I get sad, so I don't play Death Stranding.
How's it going, Luis Alvarado? Happy Friday. Indeed. Happy Friday. Okay.
Oh, one last thing is something that we lost about 4 years ago is making a comeback. That is the anime Black Clover they're gonna start doing it again. So
ooh,
that makes me really happy because Black Clover is a great shonen. Like Asta and Yuno is like, what if Sasuke didn't suck? That's what Yuno is.
Really
That's
quickly,
fair.
one of the things that I realized about One Piece when I got into the multi-hundreds is that this is just like Chrono Trigger. This is like a JRPG. A long one, but it has all the makings of one. You have your party members. You go from place to place, and you learn their story and their culture and their history, and you deal with the conflict that's present, with them. And along the way, you meet new party members, you recruit people, and you get stronger. You level up. That time skip was fantastic. Anyways, bye, Kenny. Just kidding. I don't know. We lost you there for a second.
Oh, did you really?
What's up, Luis Alvarado? Says, I'm playing Cyberpunk for the first time.
What?
And it is
No.
amazing. I love Cyberpunk as a game. I had a blast playing it. I was someone that was not anticipating it at all in the slightest. And so I only had a good experience because I had no expectations. I literally built my computer and was finished like the day it came out. And I was like, all right.
All right, let's get into our main topic, which is Jedi and Sith rankings, and of course, Mace Windu versus Dooku.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Last thing, really quick. They also started animating the sequel to the cyberpunk anime.
Edge Runners too.
So yeah,
Ooh.
that makes me excited. Anyhow, Sith rankings. What do we got? So originally I made a video because I kept seeing rankings and stuff like that, so I was reacting to those. And this person's list was it was a list of someone that experienced all these characters secondhand. Haven't read any of them, haven't played any of the games, but like I've heard people talk about them, and this is how they sound cool. Yeah, that is how I felt. So how did you feel going into that, or how did you want to approach it?
I just wanted to talk about, let's establish our base. Let's establish who is the most powerful across Legends and canon. And of course, there's no debate here. We're either going to go Sidious or Vitiate. Right? Because Sidious commands a lot of Sith sorcery, alchemy, their abilities and techniques, and Vitiate like discovered immortality.
Was successful.
Ruled for thousands of years. He was Palpatine's wet dream, typically.
Mm-hmm.
Valkorion was so successful that he got bored, left the galaxy, started over, and won again.
Yeah. Also, from your video, that person got the ritual of anathema wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so like he had essence transfer on lock, even as when he was a Sithari, when he was Tenebrae. So the ritual of anathema wasn't for immortality. You know. But again, like, is there any? Can we make a case for Sidious over Vitiate? Because since they're both in the running for,
I would argue, and this is somebody who's only.
Oh, Kenny, I can't hear you. Is he?
Oh, you can't hear me?
Back?
I can hear him. All right. Well, he's gonna call back in. Choco, can you make a case for Sidious over Vitiate?
I mean, I can. I just think overall with the actual feats that we have seen, you know, we have the implications of Valkorion's feats, but we have seen some heavy hitting stuff from Palpatine, you know, directly. You know, Vader felt like a badass when he came in riding on a Sumo Verminoff.
Yeah.
And he got clowned on bad. Really bad. You know, Palpatine used its own tentacles to pop it, and then when Vader is lying on the ground, he was like, "Oh, you were saying?"
Yeah. Sidious. This is why because Sidious and Yoda are easy tops on both sides, to be honest.
Yeah. And I know people like to, you know, say, you know, Anakin was so powerful and stuff, and the honest truth is he was never. Not only did Anakin, you know, or Vader ever surpass Palpatine, but he was never meant to. He was never supposed to. That was the whole point of the original trilogy, right? In George Lucas's own notes, it would be that, you know, he would have the potential to be twice as powerful, but he lost his limbs and that connection to the Force, and then he ends up having, you know, that potential capped at 80% of what Palpatine is. And whether or not he ever reached that, you know, is also something we've never seen. But yeah.
Question. The most powerful lightning Vitiate can produce, which is I think in one of the arcs in Sator. You know that fight like on the stairs?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that more powerful than the Exegol lightning that took out the fleet? I know that's amped, but Vitiate is amped too, technically speaking.
I mean, I don't know how to truly judge it, right? Because that one on Exegol, like you said, was amped by the planet of Exegol for one thing, and also amped by
The DYAD.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna say something that's sexually suggestive. I was like, how do I put it? And so, but even then, it's also what was his goal at that point in time, right? Was he trying? He wasn't trying to destroy them, right? He was messing with their electronics, but he was doing so as a way to challenge Rey, you know what I mean? To goad her towards something. So, was that the upper limit of what he was doing? Sure, that's the feat, but was that the upper limit of the feat? Could he do more? Was he limited by trying to not hit his own Star Destroyers? I don't know, but it sounds like he has more control.
Yeah. So,
What's up, Harith?
Who are we putting on top then? Well, let's hear Kenny. Kenny, what are your arguments for Sidious and arguments for Valkorion or Vitiate?
Sidious, for all intents and purposes, and to keep in mind, I'm taking this from the movies and TV show aspect, so I haven't really done much reading as far as anything Sidious related. That means I have not read Plagueis, I have not read any of the comics, none of that. My argument is that this is a lonely senator out of nowhere planet, somehow manipulated the entire galaxy and literally gained unlimited power, as much as the pun is intended.
Yeah.
Like the man had contingencies upon contingencies. We see this in Battlefront 2 campaign. After his passing, he had droids going to every High Admiral and literally saying, "Execute Operation Cinder." Plain and simple.
Yeah,
as much as for the other guy, I don't know much of anything else.
I mean, and also, not only did he successfully manipulate the whole galaxy, but if you read the Plagueis book, when you get to the end, you find out that he's actually been manipulating Plagueis this whole time. And like you think back into how some of their early conversations happened and who sparked what ideas, and you're like, yeah, it was actually Palpatine leading Plagueis towards very specific conclusions from the get-go. It's interesting.
We have to decide.
Crazy to think about. So yeah, my argument is Palpatine is the top dog on this one.
I am also going to go with Palpatine, mostly because I just feel, as much as I love the Old Republic, for one, we're supposed to understand it as our modern Force users were more powerful than the ones back then. But I've also never loved how the galaxy in general was just the same back then. You know what I mean? And I feel like that takes something away. So I'm just gonna give it to Palpatine.
I mean, also everything in the Old Republic seemed kind of juiced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I also think that Vitiate just breaks lore. Now, an argument can be made that the essence transfer that he was using to transfer his spirit into other bodies could be lost to knowledge, because it is like, what's the?
It's so like he would share. He's not like the sharing type.
But I still think that the implication that there was once someone that, like, for all intents and purposes, did master immortality, just kind of I suppose, lessens the impact of Plagueis's search for it, Palpatine's search for it. You know, there's even, it's not even with those two alone, right? We have Sanguis. We have, like, we find out that, like, even Sanguis and the Sith Lord before her on Exegol, who had turned into the Imp, was also trying, like, so we have so many, like, generations of Sith trying to, you know, solve this mystery of immortality. And then we have a guy that over the course of, what, 5,000 years?
So as much as I love Vitiate, I think Vitiate is what a lot of people think Palpatine is, and I say that to mean, like, Palpatine, obviously a genius, super manipulative. He had contingencies for his contingencies, but at the same time, everything was a hair's breadth away from failing. You know what I mean? Like, there was always a scramble of, like, oh dang it, you know what I mean? Like, he was spinning plates. He was very good at it, but there was a lot of opportunities for him to fail, and also times when he did fail with what he was trying to do. His plans just, you know, allowed him to continue, or that was factored in. But I know a lot of people look at him as someone who was just always perfect, never failed, and it was just evil for evil's sake. And that's not accurate, but that's kind of Vitiate. You know, Vitiate is kind of the ultimate Mary Sue, if you will. Vitiate as a baby, he was born and he looked up at his father and then he murdered his father with the Force. And you're like, and his father was a Sith Lord, you know, and you're like, that's a baby. I don't know, man. Like, and you know.
Yeah.
I have to head out. My phone is being really dumb right now. It's saying that I'm only at 1%. I've got to figure out a cord situation at the moment. I am so sorry, guys.
Yeah, feel free to call back in if you
if you can call back in, you can give us your take. Well, yeah, we're in the section now.
Yeah. See you, boys.
Bye.
See you.
Now, I don't necessarily recall how he came into being Valkorion. My mind is hazy on the details, but I assume that was a huge part of his proliferation, because Valkorion was already like the emperor of the Eternal Empire, the Knights of Zakul and everything.
Yeah.
So it's not like he rose to power and then ruled for thousands of years, right? He did.
No, I mean he did though. He you know, because his father wasn't like a ruler. His father was a Sith, but he killed his father. They raised him, and then he brain blasted like all of the people, like in his, like, he did rise to the ranks to the point where he brain blasted everyone and made them complete the ritual that destroyed his home planet, and basically sucked up all the Force and gave it to him. And like, then he ascended to ruling, and then he ascended beyond that, and then he peaced out and no one saw him for a while.
We'll just say I think honorary.
Turned out he was just thirsty, you know. He was just trying to.
I suppose honorary mention to Vitiate, really, because that's just one of those things you really can't. You can't scale that.
Yeah.
To be honest, Insidious is his power is actually just more tangible, easier to grasp, and
yeah, I love Sidious because his power is just his. It's just him. His father wasn't a Sith. His mother wasn't a Sith. He wasn't a chosen one. You know, he was just that powerful, and he was just that smart and just that cunning. that he, it was all him. He's what people think Anakin is.
All right, who's number 2? I'm gonna have to defer this to you if it has anything to do with Darth Cadus or Crate or any of those Sith Lords.
I mean, I have trouble understanding where Darth Crate would be positioned because he's so random and his story is so weird and all over the place. I don't know. I never respected Darth Crate. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like him. He's just that character that
Exists. Exists for the
Well,
plot.
he was a Jedi, and then he left, and then he was a Tusken Raider. So there's one Tusken who had 2 lightsabers who would fight, and then he became a bounty hunter, then became a Sith. He's just that character that that kids make up on the playground where they were just kind of jumping from thing to thing. And and he lives forever, and he's weird. But Darth Cadus, though, I do have to put him way up there. I mean, I feel he was more successful and more cunning and more powerful than Vader was, than Dooku was, than Maul was, It's very powerful, very intelligent. He was a Swiss Army knife of powers. He literally traveled the galaxy to learn as many different powers as possible. And there was some weirdness in his story as well, where he would kill a certain number of people or a certain quality of person, and then it would unlock a new power. that was kind of weird. But he unlocked this type of battle brain where he was the ships, he was the whole the battle. He felt it as if his fleet was a part of his body.
He was playing RTS.
It was a weird awareness. Yeah, it was like he was playing an RTS game while fighting. And also on top of that being a swordsman, and also being able to force walk, which is to go into the past and watch things as they happened and as they unfolded, and learn secrets and stuff that way. There was a lot of weird stuff.
Could he affect it or just observe?
And that's part of the weird part is partially if he stayed or tried too hard, it was he would start to become corporeal, and then they would notice him in the past, and so he was always careful to not do that, and so we don't actually know what the ramifications would be. But yeah, I mean, he went back and he watched Anakin march on the Jedi Temple. He did some cool stuff.
Harris says, hot take, I honestly have always liked the idea of Palpatine being the most powerful Sith Lord. And I think if we track to the Old Republic, let's just say for now in canon, we don't have any examples of any Sith as powerful as Sidious. And if we look at the Old Republic Legends continuity, it all looks very powerful, but going forward in time with the collective knowledge of the past, I think that Sidious would know all about the Sith from the Old Republic and what they could do, and then he definitely innovates on top of that.
It's almost like the Old Republic is My Hero Academia, and then regular Star Wars is like Naruto, where this guy looks super, super powerful. You know, this is All Might, right? But like All Might gets rolled by adult Sakura, like easy. Like even in the Department of Strength, you know, it's just I just feel like the Old Republic just scales differently while appearing to be really powerful.
I do like that analogy, though. I think, you know, just keeping it within my hero universe, All Might seemed like just unbeatable, you know, when he was on top, and I felt like no one could match his strength. But obviously, the story of my hero is how the new generation is going to be stronger, right? Yep. And how the one for all ability through its collective generation hopping is gonna just be unstoppable in its own right. So I like that. I think and to defer the second spot to you for Cadus, number three is difficult as well, because I would honestly, this is tough. I'm debating between Bane and Malgus. Because Malgus was pretty powerful. And his sacking of Coruscant, he kind of rolled through a lot of masters.
he had to do that on hard mode. Yeah, that's for sure.
And Bane, even though in his story, you know, he's uniquely powerful in his own right, his story never screamed to me that he was the most powerful.
He was more cunning than anything else, I would
yeah.
say.
And
Yeah,
I think
I'd agree.
Especially when he admits that you know, Xana is a threat to him because of her knowledge of sorcery and her latent talent for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, my pick for number 3 spot, and we'll keep this as top 3 so that we can just kind of keep this concise, would be Malgus. I know a lot of people will, you know, disagree and try to put Nihilus up there. We'll try to put Scion. We'll try to put Maul. We'll try to put Revan even. First of all, Revan wasn't very powerful.
Revan wasn't more powerful than Malik.
Revan was was a prodigy.
Yeah.
To be sure.
What's up, Obi-Wan?
Like, when he was training on Dantooine, like, he was doing things that Jedi Knights were doing when he was a kid. But that's not an argument for his overall potential or ability. You know, there's a lot of, like, prodigies that, for example, someone would be, like, like a genius at math. But they don't go on to become like the preeminent mathematician in the world. They just use it to like hack on the dark web and stuff. Right? And so Revan to me is a prodigy, and he's very talented. He's very skilled, very tactical, but in terms of overall power, lags behind a lot of Sith. I'd say he's higher on the list as a Jedi, but
for sure. I mean, I kind of think of him, you know, in a similar way.
Eric is trolling, saying, "In all fairness, Nihilus did eat a planet." I'm sure you're trolling, Eric. But go ahead.
You know, when it came to, like, he's like the Darth Cadus to Luke situation, where he's the Swiss Army knife. He has the most tools, but not the most, like, power. You know what I mean? Like, he's got all the bells and whistles, which makes him a massive threat, especially when it comes to his ability to strategize, because he has so many he knows so many different things. But yeah, Malgus is someone who, like Bane, defied the Sith, but defied the Jedi and the Sith, successfully fighting through both sides at
He challenged the
their
Emperor.
heights. Yeah, and so to me, Malgus has always been an amalgamation of
An amalgus?
Darth Bane and Vader. That's what he is.
That's kind of funny because I always attributed his name to be like a play on malice and disgust.
Oh,
But
I never thought about that. I always thought it's just him being an amalgamation.
that makes a lot more sense. He's an amalgus.
he's Vader from the nose down, and he's Bane from the top up.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Do you have a differing opinion on the third?
I mean, my third was gonna be either like Malgus, Bane, and Vader are all, I feel, in the same neighborhood.
But I don't think Vader would. I don't know. I don't think Vader could
I don't think
beat
he would.
Malgus.
He wouldn't. I don't think he would beat either of them. I mean, just frankly because he didn't live in a place where there was any competition. You know what I mean? Again, he's the greatest player in the D League. But Darth, Kreia is also a pretty big threat in her own right. But
Yeah.
But again, it's what makes her a threat is not the power, it's not the horsepower.
It's the snake tongue. It's the.
You got to put Malik up there as well.
That's true, but we're keeping it to top 3 for conciseness. So we do have to decide. It's Sidious, with kind of like an honorable tie with Vitiate. Then Kaitis at number 2, and Malgus at 3, with an honorable tie to Bane.
That's definitely fair. I'm just like trying to roll through my mind on everything I can. Like I also feel like Dooku doesn't get his due as a Sith like he should. And I think that's what leads people to believe like, oh, well, he wasn't a true Sith because he's still fancy and not all gross. And you're like, no, he was a Sith Lord. And
I suppose that speaks to, but see, that's the thing, that we don't get to see how powerful he can be.
Yeah.
Right, he was manipulated into being a victim to Anakin in that fight. Which I truly believe, and let us know in the chat, I believe that if that wasn't the case, Dooku would have destroyed Anakin. to be fair.
I mean, in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, it does have the plan be that he loses that fight, and then he gets arrested, and then he flips on him, right? So
well, even in the
he
canon,
was coming in there going to lose it, but also Anakin did just like step up in ways he was not anticipating, and he was a lot better than he thought he was going to be.
Yeah, it's still implied loosely in the canon Gold novelization, which essentially after Palpatine says kill him, Dooku has a face of shock after being betrayed and tricked by Palpatine, which is to imply Palpatine told him to go easy on Anakin, help convert him. He didn't think he was going to be killed. I think that's a point against his intelligence, because only 2 there can be, if he's grooming another apprentice, you're gonna help that new apprentice. I don't know.
Listen,
He's
do
an
trust
aristocrat, but
Palpatine's
he's
ability to sell him, right? Because I mean, if you think about it, Palpatine is the rule of two only existed to destroy the Jedi and to take over the Republic. So Palpatine not following the rule of two actually makes sense because what he accomplishes ends the purpose of it, you know? And so I can totally see him selling that to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Eric Schnoker in the chat says, yeah, that's entirely valid for a top three. That being said, I genuinely think Nihilus would be up there, even if he may be a little overrated. Qatar was pretty significant.
He's gigantically overrated, not a little bit. So if we're talking about Tales 28, 23, Qatar, that is an example of him pretty much coming out of nowhere and absorbing the life force of everyone on the planet. But that's no indication of how he presents against people who are formidable in the Force, right? The author Drew Karpyshyn came out and said that his ability to drain planets is heavily dependent on the people who are defending against him, and if you put I forget his wording, but if you put a competent Force user in front of Nihilus, they are not being drained as easily, you know? And so, like, I like to put in the example that if he were in front of Yoda and he tried to Force drain Yoda, Yoda would slap him in the face a couple of times and be like, stop trying, that's not going to happen. So, like, and I think Kreia says as much too. I forget her quote, but Kreia says that, hold on, let me look it up. Give your insight on Nihilus.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's all the same. Yes, he was able to absorb the life force, but that's not the end all be all. And also, by absorbing that also increased his hunger. It made him less stable, and it actually weakened him. So I wrote a letter to Drew and got a letter back in 2008. That's really cool. That is really cool. I should write him a letter. But if I wrote him a letter, it'd be about Mass Effect. His Mass Effect books were actually pretty good. Let's see. Subaru said, didn't a new comic talk about how Palpatine threw off the balance even more by not fulfilling the rule of two? Having multiple apprentices and not dealing with those secret apprentices? I have not been keeping up with the comics as I should, so I apologize. Can you let me know which run that was you're referring to? I would love to, like, if that's in there, I would love to check it out. But yeah, I mean, he broke the rule of two all the time. You know, we find out, like, he absolutely had both Maul and Tyrannus at the same time, and did that, you know, on purpose. He generally sucked as a person, but like I always say, he legitimately already ruled the galaxy at least a decade before the Phantom Menace even started. He just ruled it in shadow and wanted to rule it in public, so that he could destroy the Jedi themselves. So yeah, he's definitely way up there.
So Kreia's quote on Nihilus, she says, there is no strength in the hunger he possesses, and the will behind his power is a primal thing, and it devours him as he devours others. So, I mean, my reading of that quote, simply put, is, you know, it's something that he carries with him as he exists as a wound, and as he hungers. But just like we defeat him in the game, Nihilus has no real strength behind it against someone who knows how to fight against it. You know, if you have like 1 billion people on a planet and no one knows how to use the Force, he is going to go to that planet and absorb and drain all of their life.
Jedi Knights number 5. Sorry, go. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it. I just said
All right, so Super Reese, I will read and catch up with that, and we will talk about it next week. All right.
Is that a new run?
We're apprentices at the same time. Yeah, and so I mean that also pretty much gets confirmed in in Tales of the Jedi, because it was, because it was Tyrannus who was removing the records of Camino, from the Jedi archives, right? Came out last week. Awesome. I really need to keep up.
I read that quote a bit differently. I read it as the hunger has no power, not that he has no power. It would take a significant amount of power to devour a species rich with force sensitive as well. Rich with force sensitives, but are those force sensitives competent in their defense? Right, like a whole species can be force sensitive, but do they practice the force is the question.
The way I think of it, and you could take this with a grain of salt, but remember when Count Dooku was training Savage Opress, right? And he'd hit him with lightning, and Savage is like, the hell was that? Like, how do you fight against this? And he keeps electrocuting him, and like he has no idea what to do, and he gets shut down like hard by lightning. By the same token, you try to hit Obi-Wan with lightning, and he goes doop. He blocks it, and that's kind of the difference, right? Nihilus has this powerful move that can destroy people, but that's the only tool in his toolbox, and if you can sidestep that one thing, the rest of his kit doesn't back it up, which is why he's the easiest boss to beat in his only appearance.
Yeah. So I mean, that's our top three. We have Sidious, Kaitis, and Malgus, with honorable mentions to Vitiate and Bane, of course. And we'll honorably mention Nihilus too. It's not like he's like a weak ass, but he's definitely not up there with the likes of Sidious, Malgus, and Kaitis, for sure.
Also, Nihilus was black. I think that's cool.
and a female, right?
Originally, he I think originally female, is like black and with dreads.
Yeah, that concept art you showed me, that was cool. I would have liked to see that, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, our top 3 Jedi, which we are going to automatically put Yoda at the top. He has, and I hate to use this metric, but he has the most midichlorians in all of the history of the Force. Not the Force, the Jedi. Anakin was the only one to surpass him in M count. But, like, he lifts mountain golems. And he wasn't even, like... This is where it comes down to your reading of comic panel. But did it look like he was struggling?
I mean, the thing is size matters not, and so like that's the
But size matters not, but it does. Like in terms of like lifting something, the size of it doesn't matter. But I do think that there is a level of mastery and a level of control to do those things.
Yeah.
Right. Because size matters not doesn't mean that a Padawan can come in and lift a mountain. Just because they believe size matters not. They have to train in that mastery. They have to train in the control of it, right? We always say that the Force is instinct first and technique later. or mastery later. You know, babies can lift things just based out of their instinct, and matters of mastery and their control and accuracy over lifting those things comes later. So I think, but also there's like Simulfatoris, his use of force projection multiple times without dying. I just think Yoda is a preeminent force user. He blocked Dooku's force lightning with his bare hands, something that Mace could only do with his lightsaber. And he channels it back towards the user, right, in Attack of the Clones. So I think that is a huge plus for Yoda to be able to not only block Count Dooku's lightning with his bare hands, but also block Sidious's lightning with his bare hands.
Okay, but do you think he would be able to block what's her name? Mother Talzin's lightning. Mother Talzin's lightning was OP. That was crazy.
That's interesting because it took Sidious and Dooku, right? to fight
to occupy her while General Grievous went up and stabbed her. But also, I don't know if it's once you can block it, you know, and it doesn't matter, or you know, I don't know. Now, Super Race, we're ranking kind of based off of like power levels, but I do love your Kanan Jarrus, Yoda, Avar, Chris. You're definitely going for the wisdom over everything else, and Avar's underrated.
My reading of Tuda Menace is using the Force basically to absorb the Force energy back in. So I think it is the same kind of premise as Size Matters Not. I think that Yoda knows how. I think he knows the ingredients, for lack of a better word, it takes to conjure the Force lightning. And so he is using his wisdom to just kind of snuff it out.
You know, I am curious on something. This is kind of a side topic, and I want to hear everyone in the chat's thoughts as well. Reese and Eric. Obviously yours as well. But how do you imagine? How do you imagine the Force working? You know what I mean? Like, if someone looks like you're struggling to lift something, is it because it feels heavy in their arms? Is that separate? Is that mental fatigue? What are they actually doing? How do you think it actually works or feels for them? I have my own idea, but I'm curious how you have always pictured it.
Well, we have a couple examples, one from The Empire Strikes Back and one from The High Republic, where in Empire Strikes Back, Yoda talks specifically tells Luke to feel the energy between him and me, the Force between the ground and the X-Wing, and the description of it binds us, it penetrates us, how can I forget this quote? It binds us, penetrates us. What's the last part?
It ties the galaxy together. My brain is baloney right now.
It's an energy field. It binds us, it penetrates us. I guess it binds. No. You wouldn't say bind.
I feel like I'm mixing an Obi-Wan quote with a Yoda quote in my head.
Anyways, that with the High Republic, when Comac is describing levitation, he is saying that he is manipulating the Force between him and the ground, and he's not lifting himself. Right? And so I think a lot of like telekinesis is all about manipulating the midichlorians and the living force surrounding things and the objects, which is kind of which kind of tracks with how the Jedi use their powers, right? Because the Sith are very direct, right? So Yoda would manipulate the weather patterns and the air pressure within the atmosphere to conjure that lightning to hit the Ineti tree. Sidious and the Sith would try to create the lightning out of their own body using electrical charges and whatever. So I think that's really the difference between light and darkness is you are compelling the force around you to help you do things, and darkness is you're taking the force and you're grabbing it and you're telling it, I want you to do this. So
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I'll explain how I've always pictured it, and I'll see if this makes sense to you or if you understand what I mean. And also, as sort of another example of this, you just saw Superman. People have always wondered, when he flies, what does it mean when he goes like this and he goes faster? Like, what is he doing? Is he giving it more? Is he pushing more? Is he pulling more? Is he? What the hell's happening? You know, like
I can explain it. Although,
so
it makes me think of One Piece and moonwalking. Perhaps he's just kicking the air behind him really, really hard, so fast that the air doesn't have enough time to disperse, so it's like clumped up. He kicks it and goes. Maybe, I don't know.
Actually, when he does take off super fast, it usually does create like a push, like at his feet. That's not necessarily a sonic boom. That literally could be him kicking off at like the wall when you're swimming. But yeah, so kind of the way I've always pictured it is like, if you with your mind created another body and telepathically commanded it to do stuff. That's kind of how I've always pictured it. So like when you're lifting something, you aren't lifting it. That's not your arms. You're not going to get tired, but there is a mental strain with trying to imagine it and imagine how it would feel and how you would wrap around it and how, you know, because you're also operating this thing like third person and far away. And that's why, like, if you're force pushing something, that's easy. If you're forced trying to like flip a switch, then you have to imagine the small, like little things, you know. If you're trying to like
that
change
makes
something
that tracks with the lore.
Yeah,
and I think this is why when I was just elaborating on Yoda's lifting of the mountain or size matters not, there's still kind of this mental calculus that you have to do in order to lift these large things. Even though it's not heavy, it's still large, and you need to think about how you're going to lift it. Like Ram Jomaram, he says that he sees the force through like circuitry and stuff, and so when he has to go into like when he has to tinker with something mechanically, he has to see through the eyes of like its mechanics versus being like fixed.
Yeah, it's not like fix this thing. He has to understand how it works to do the thing to make it fixed, you know. Yeah. And so that's how I was. Yeah,
I always joke about Rey lifting up all of those boulders in The Last Jedi and thinking yeah, she's just using the raw power of the Force to just like lift it all, which doesn't really take much, especially if you believe as much as she does. But I always joke around that like that was so like kismet, because what if she had loosened loosened a linchpin in the cliff, and instead of
everything else,
instead of creating an entrance, everyone's like, "We're still stuck here, Ray."
That's worse now. That's funny. I didn't think about that.
But then I reconcile with the fact that those boulders she's lifting is actually a result from a collapse to begin with, right? So,
and then also my thought also comes from when we read in Shadows of the Sith, Luke is holding, a person with the Force, but he has to concentrate on not crushing this person. And so, like, my mind pictured, like, you're conjuring, invisibly, but it's like a giant's hand holding this person, but it's not in your hand, so you don't feel it. You just have to instinctively know how tight to hold this so it doesn't get away. But you have to be careful that you don't just like pop it like.
Oh yeah,
like
it's certain. There's certainly
I mean?
a like, again, we keep on saying mastery, right, and accuracy. I imagine because this is actually relevant because I was watching a couple of days ago a documentary on prosthetics, right? And there's this girl who got like new advanced prosthetics, and she said the first time she picked up a glass, she broke it because she was not aware, even though her muscles in her arms are telling her to grip it, she's not aware of the strength of the prosthetic fingers, right? So she's telling it to grasp, but the fingers are like, oh, like it's just, and so there's that tactile, very kind of precision that you need to notice how much force you need.
Yeah, and that's also where your training comes in, is like learning how to place things. You know what I mean? How you can do it, how you can, because you also have to think of the physics of what you're picking up and where you're setting it, and all of those things. So yeah, that's just how I've always thought about it. It just has always made a lot of sense to me.
Rui says sounds like a Green Lantern style ring style.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Kind of, yeah.
Avar Chris's song of View of the Force is dope, especially with K-pop Demon Hunters. Oh, that reminds me. I take umbrage with something you said last week about this show or this movie. You said it has no business being this good. It has all the business in the world being that good. First of all, songs are fire. The animation's fire. It's Sony Animation, which did Spider-Man. So that's a lot of business being good. I think Sony Animation I didn't realize it was Sony Animation, but as I was watching this, I was like, it's kind of like Into the Spider-Verse,
So for me, coming into it, it's something that scrolling through Netflix, I would be like, oh, that's like a kid's show or something like that, and would pass it, and had people not mentioned it, I would never have turned it on.
Was it Brie?
And it was someone else, but she was already aware of it. Okay. I listen, it gave my wife a whole new level of thirst. She's like, how she feels about K-pop and Korean dramas in general, and how she feels about Nightwing, and she's like, he's like a Korean Nightwing. And I was like, God damn it.
Shout out to our friend Young, who's thirsting over a Genu.
Yeah.
I'm thirsting over all of them, but I think my favorite one is for sure Rumi.
Yeah. My wife's phone background changed before the movie ended. So
if that
tells you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right on. My voice without the lies, this is what it sounds like. Sorry guys, we're talking about Jedi.
You know what? Screw it. Let's get Young on here. Let's talk about that movie.
Sure.
But like, yeah. And Reese, even if you aren't a K-pop person, it'll still make you one. here's the thing. Like, I grew up on Motown stuff. You know what I mean? I grew up on Boys to Men and things. So there was a weird time in the 90s where we had the American boy bands come out. But I was told, like, you can't like, that's girly stuff. You don't like them. But I'm like, there's not a huge difference between, like, Boys to Men or All for One and these guys. It's the same thing, you know? So I've always had a joy for it. And so, you know, those songs were so catchy. You're all that I think of, every drop I drink up. You're my soda pop, my little soda pop. Yeah, like a... good stuff, good stuff.
Also, I saw a video. I don't want to give it too much weight because I think it's ridiculous at the end of the day. I saw a video that was hating on K-pop Demon Hunters because they said that K-pop is a white man's hip-hop because they want to enjoy hip-hop, but they don't want to see black people. And I'm like, hip-hop,
I mean,
hip-hop can exist.
That is actually a thing, though. There are some, like, there are certain places where, like, they are pretty racist against black people while still absorbing a lot of the culture and displaying it. But at the same time, you know, it's like it's music, and music is music. You know, the cat's out of the bag. You can't it's a Pandora's box that gets opened, and it becomes part of the world and part of the zeitgeist. And this is part of globalization, one of the best parts of globalization, because we're now bringing work to people to all over the globe, and power and influence, you know? Like, it gave us K-pop, and then that gives us these international people, and then, you know, now we have, you know, Cat's Eye, and with people from all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, we have Star Wars because of influences from samurai films, which were also influenced by other things, you know? Like, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I just wanted to push back a little and just say that, you know, that's something that's not unique to K-pop, because there will be racists that want to hear hip-hop and still hate black people and not listen to K-pop. They'll listen to Macklemore, they'll listen to Machine Gun Kelly, they'll listen to all the white rappers. You know, it's not a K-pop thing. So whether you're racist and shit, and I'll never understand this, but I'll say this anyway. Even if you are racist and you like hip hop, it's not like, oh, this is what K-pop is. It's not.
Yeah. No, I just think that whoever said that is probably not expressing correctly what their thought is. You know what I mean? Because to me, it is, like, because I do see it, you know, and I do feel the aggravation of not feeling comfortable around people who are at the same time enjoying the fruits of your culture. You know what I mean? Like, that's certainly a thing. But I don't know. It is what it is.
At the end of the day,
what's everyone here in the chat? What's your favorite song from it?
At the end of the day, it comes down to what you were saying, essentially, which is the world and the zeitgeist itself is at its core and reality an amalgamation of everything, right? Because how are you going to dog Asians for loving hip-hop while having a rap group called Wu-Tang Clan? And
yeah,
there's a lot of hip hop rappers that love kung fu and Asian culture.
and that's a huge part of the black community is that those aspects of Asian culture, and it's weird to love one and demonize the other. There's just a lot of different histories there, and let's see. It is like black actors are not popular in China. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a dog in this fight though, because there's also the issue of us not understanding the core differences between all of the separate Asian cultures, where something that's Japanese doesn't mean the same thing to Korean people, and there's actually a lot of conflict there. A lot of bad stuff, but
Akanioye says, but black culture is well assimilated over there. Yes, but it's still not popular. How do I put this? The Chinese people that celebrate and appropriate black culture are treated equally as ostracized, or they're ostracized just as equally. But I also think this is a point of understanding the market as well, because China is very closed off from the world. Their internet is heavily censored. And not all of Western media shows there.
Yep.
That's what makes just really quickly. That's what makes America great. It's not being American. It's the fact that we get so many cultures, and we get to enjoy them all here. We can go down and have some Mexican food, some Greek food. We can enjoy the world in America.
I was going to say, to quote Dwight from The Office, first we got to get the black people to do it to get the white people to do it. Then we have to get the black people to stop doing it. But for me, how it's done was my song. During that fight, I was like fist pumping the TV, and fantastic film.
This is what it sounds like is on constant repeat. I just love the build up with Zoe and Mira coming in. It sounds like it's a song that sounds like that movie's Let It Go. Because it's so cinematically
I can agree
produced. Podwans on the TikTok side said, talking about Obi-Wan season 2 without me, not cool, guys. We haven't gotten to that yet. It's our bonus topic. We still have to finish our top 3. Okay, so we have Yoda at 1. Who's at 2?
Number 2 is Luke.
Sure.
Luke's just got the horsepower. You're not beating that horsepower.
3 is difficult.
I mean, I want to give it to my boy Mace, but that's just me. Then again, we can still take a step back. We can still, like, Avar Kriss is powerful in what she does. We got.
We have Bastila with Battle Meditation. I would even put Satele up there,
Yeah.
Surviving in space. It's difficult. There's a lot of High Republic Jedi that are really powerful as well. And of course, Revan is up there as a Jedi. His prodigious skills and mind. But I don't know about overall power.
Elzar Mann, in sheer creativity and inventiveness, you know what I mean? Like, Elzar Mann is like the Rodney Mullen of the Jedi, where he invented all the stuff. You know what I mean? He may not be throwing it off of huge staircases, but like,
yeah. Let's just so we have Yoda, Luke. Is there any argument to be made that Anakin is there? Pre-Vader? I know a lot of people point to
his combat,
arc, but that
his combat prowess is high, right? Because he lived during war, so that's certainly a thing. You know, he's powerful. He's great with his foresight, but I still don't think he touches, you know, a Mace Windu in a fight.
You know what? I think this is a good segue for our pre-bonus. I think number 3 is Mace. Which brings us to our Mace versus Count Dooku poll.
Also, just in the chat, you know, Super E says that, you know, Kanan gets to bang as a Jedi. So it feels like, as far as modern Jedi go in the timeline, he had the best balance of it all. The true feat of power is balance and the preservation of light and life. But I do have to say, the Jedi weren't celibate. There was no rules against the Jedi, you know, getting down and dirty. So they could all do it. They all wouldn't, you know, but they can handle it.
Which 3 of the
Oh,
women
don't
in
forget the
Demon Hunters?
Masters in the Acolyte. You know, Soul can handle his business. You know.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put him up there though.
Yeah.
In the top 3 at least. Which 3 of the women in Demon Hunters equals 3 women of Star Wars in Star Wars? Well, you know Rey is Rumi. Because she has demon lineage.
Yeah, that tracks. It was like that was.
And
easy.
I say that, I mean dark side, like
Yeah.
I want to say Zoe. I feel like Mira is a Sabine. And I'm trying to think of women in Star Wars that are like super, super bright and happy for Zoe. Afra?
Yeah, no.
Rose?
No, I'm my mind goes straight to not necessarily like because of the happy part, but because of the technical nature. I go to young Vernestra.
Yeah. I can see that. Well, there you go. That's the that's Huntrix in Star Wars.
I do have to say that the other girl I would give, and especially if we're going all Jedi, what's her name? Tora Asi. What was her first name?
Lily
Tora Asi. Just the way that she looks at kids and stuff is how I picture.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just how I see it.
I'm trying to think if there's any more Asian characters in Star Wars that would just make this a K-pop band.
I mean, there's just not enough.
I can liken Rumi to Satele as well because of her lineage. With Revan in the mix. There's some darkness there for sure. I wouldn't call it demon lineage, but darkness in the history.
Yeah,
There's not
and
a lot
of course, Jenny was the stranger. I think
Yes,
that's pretty easy.
yes, for sure.
It's not even close.
The patterns is just the muscles. Yeah, okay, so Mace versus Count Dooku. We have 75% in favor of Mace with 25 in Dooku. So if Kenny calls in at some point, we'll welcome him in, but for the next 5 minutes or so, let's talk about our reasoning as to how Mace beats Dooku.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I'm Team Mace. I'm pretty much always Team Mace, like, because I love him so much. But, first of all, his physical conditioning was next to none. No one is challenging him on that. You know, if he had a rough day, he was in the gym and he was practicing his combat, and he was known for that. You know, now Dooku, of course, trains for dueling specifically, but he's too fancy. He's always been a little too fancy. You know what I mean? He's not putting in that same work. Now, I know we didn't see him in his prime, not really, but from what we have seen of both of them,
Kind of
Mace
entails.
wins. Also, old age when it comes to Star Wars, if to me, I could be wrong, but it feels like it affects more of your stamina than anything else. You know what I mean? Yoda can still fight like Yoda. He may not be able to keep it up anywhere near as long, but he still throws down when he needs to. And you know, Dooku's age, I don't think is something holding him back in that aspect. Because if that were the case, then Anakin beating him wouldn't be a test.
Yeah. For me, it's very quick. It's Dooku is one of the top duelists in the order. So is Mace. What Dooku isn't is a fighter. You know, Mace is. When I read Glass Abyss and the way he took down all of his foes with his hands, no lightsaber, that's a fighter. That's like Indara. That's someone who practices martial arts and can throw down without his lightsaber, just like Sol when he was fighting May. Like, I see Dooku as being a preeminent lightsaber duelist, and if it was just lightsabers, probably Dooku edges out Mace. But like I said, Mace was also a top duelist. But if you put him in like just an arena and it was just an all-out fight, you know, even if one disarms the other, Dooku is the one that's the most affected by being disarmed. You know?
Yeah, that's very true. And also, I don't think of it like straight up in terms of like this character wins, this character loses. I think of, you know, because anyone can have a good day or a bad day or whatever. So my mind is like, okay, what we do is we simulate 100 fights. How many do you take? How many does he take? And I mean, I do think it's close, you know, but I'm giving it like a 60-40 split. You know, if you catch Mace on a really bad day, then sure,
I don't know.
I'm certain Dooku can beat him. But
Do you
you know what?
Question.
But I also
does-
think that Mace's specific style of combat is a direct counter to Dooku's, right? Because he can just hack straight through his guard, right? He doesn't handle strength extremely well.
Question though, does Mace have bad days? Or does he get just wilder? You know what I mean? Like, if he's having a bad day, is he taking it out on you? Or is he having a bad day where he just forgets all of his skills?
Also, the amount of training he has is specifically to minimize his bad days. Yeah, I might have to revise my percentages because
I honestly think it's a 90-10, to be completely honest with you. In all of my simulations where they're equal I put them equally as in terms of dueling, just for the sake of argument. Mace has the advantage on everything else. If Dooku uses lightning, Mace can block it. You know, if it's a battle hand to hand, Mace comes out on top. If it's a battle with conditioning and physical athleticism, Mace is on top. And the only part that Dooku could theoretically win is lightsaber dueling. But that's not the question. The question is who would win, not who wins in a lightsaber duel.
I mean, yeah. If
he's having a bad day, when I need a hand.
Well, when I think of how specifically they fight, because that's more or less where my mind goes, and you know, he fights like a fencer. Dooku fights like a fencer. It's one-handed, and what he does is he's meant to redirect, right, your energy. He's trying to make you. He's not outright blocking anything because he can't. He's not set up to do that, and so he does well against people like Obi-Wan, who's on the defensive, you know, because he can tire Obi-Wan out and he can kind of play with him. That's why he just cooks Obi-Wan all of the time. I don't think he has that same advantage. I mean, that's a disadvantage against Mace Windu, who has the speed and the power, and he runs decathlons and stuff too. He's not going to tire out very easily.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, like the only point I give theoretically to Dooku in like a 60-40 split is lightsaber duels, but then like in an overall fight, like Mace comes out on top in a lot of those other categories, you know. So there you go. If you have different opinions in chat, I don't know what Kenny was gonna come with, but I'm certainly interested. I might post a video to see if Kenny is gonna stitch it, or just post the clip of this. But yeah, that's Mace versus Count Dooku. And if you guys have any other verses, let us know, and we can see if we can kind of queue it up for a future episode of DYAD. But it's time to talk about the possibility of an Obi-Wan Season 2. We'll give this about 10-15 minutes of discussion before we start to wrap things up.
I did get reached out to recently about us being invited to a Star Wars trivia, an online trivia tournament. So I'm going to reach out.
Us as a team, or
no, not as a team, but just both two.
Okay, I was about to say.
That's not fair. That's not fair. I wouldn't even compete. I do. By the way, I do love how much people's like trivia ability has increased.
Oh yeah.
In the past couple of years, because I feel like it's increased exponentially. You know, when we started making content, I specifically wouldn't study before competitions because I thought it wasn't fair if I did. And I still won all of those. But you know,
also like, I just find it eternally hysterical that the one thing I beat you on was resistance.
Listen,
like it was like this, right? That final, it was like this,
yeah.
And then resistance came up twice, and you were like, "God damn it!"
It's like I only watched Resistance once, and I watched all of season 2 in one sitting. So like, I'm not gonna remember individual. Yeah, it was rough.
But yeah, to be fair, I've seen it in like the past year too. When people ask me questions, folks in the DYAD community would be in the comments answering. I'm like, oh, they got it. You know. So I think the not in terms of rank, but the bottom line, or I should say, or the baseline for knowledge within the community is really high. That's why whenever there is a trivia tournament and somebody's like, oh, I don't think I would do good, like Mandalorian and any of the community members that take place in the Pod Ones trivia, and then I watch their matches, they know about 175% more than they give themselves credit for. You know, and you can see it in their face too. Someone they would ask a question like, "Oh, I know this."
Everyone in the DYAD community knows more than chat.
Yes,
I can guarantee you that. Also, real quick, Eric Schnelker in the chat says, my favorite right now is probably A Ballad of Witch's Road, and all time is Jovert's Suicide from Les Mis. So, yeah, I mean, I was kind of more meaning just that show, but if we're talking all around media, like not fake songs, but you know what I mean?
Like diegetic songs? Like
musicals?
Yeah,
I got some deep cuts on that one. I'm going to throw up 3 small words from Josie and the Pussycats, and That Thing You Do from the Oneaters. I don't know if you've seen the movie That Thing You Do. It was great.
I watched a lot of musicals growing up, you know, so there's a lot of Rent songs in there. There's some Newsies songs.
Make a Man Out of You from Mulan.
Yeah.
Also, that's a jam.
A lot of
that
Disney
lives in my
songs
head
there too.
rent-free.
Honestly, though, like, I can't get K-pop Demon Hunter songs out of my head. It's those songs
That's
are
fair.
literally, not literally. They are, in my opinion, some of the best K-pop we've gotten this year. And they're not even a real group, so to speak. You know?
Yeah.
But
I mean, they showed us how it's done.
but for some deep lore here, EJ, who co-produced the songs on K-pop Demon Hunters, is actually a very highly sought after producer in K-pop in general. BTS, Twice, LE SSERAFIM, aespa, all of these K-pop groups have a hit track produced by EJ, which is Rumi singing voice.
Okay.
So Huntrix isn't an official K-pop group, but they might as well be, because they've written for a lot of K-pop groups that you know, chart monthly. Obi-Wan season 2. First question is, do we need one?
No.
That's a quick one.
Listen, if we get Obi-Wan season 2, like, one of the bad things that we could potentially, well, Star Wars is weird because there's 2 things that we always have to consider, and we have to consider the actual media, but also the reaction to said media. There's no way they did Vader. That's the problem. They did Vader. Had they not done Vader in season 1, that's something you could build to.
Yeah.
Having done him in season 1, doing stuff without him, I feel like half the fandom would automatically hate whatever it is, because that's what they thought they wanted. You know, and so I don't know. That being said, if they gave us a story that was, I mean, not the same as the Obi-Wan book by John Jackson Miller, but that was a great book. I don't know if you've read it, or you should put it high on your
Is
list.
Is it canon?
No, but it's just a really good book about, he's out there, he's on Tatooine, he's living in the desert, and he sees people that need help. What does he do? Does he get involved? Does he let them die? Does he let things happen? And so this is a story about him, getting involved in a small way, but it builds to more and more, and now he's in the middle of this conflict with this settlement and the Tuskens and the Hutts, and all this stuff is coming to a head, and it puts a spotlight on him, which makes things really dangerous for Luke being on the planet, and that's the whole reason that he's there. So what is he willing to do? Like, those are the questions that I think need to be answered. That being said, I mean, we very much could get that story. We have gotten him reactivated, reconnected with the Force. So we don't have to redo that portion of it. And we do have him with a more optimistic view of life. He's not destroyed anymore from having, failed this child that he raised, right? So he's able to let that go. So we can focus more on him and his place in this, his new place in this galaxy. I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was afraid of. Because to answer the first question, we don't need a season 2. But to look at a potential narrative for a season 2, we're talking about the next 17, 18 years that he's in the desert. Which means there's no Vader. Like, Vader cannot be a part of this narrative.
Mm-hmm.
He's already defeated him. And he's in hiding now. And to your point,
Hey, Spooky Kitty.
the reason I'm concerned is that a lot of the people that wanted Obi-Wan by virtue of wanting more Vader. And I'm concerned that crowd will find less appeal in an intrinsic story of Obi-Wan. Because Mandalorian Covert excuse me. Mandalorian Covert says in TikTok, Obi-Wan season 2 doesn't need Vader, maybe Quinlan. And that's the thing that I was kind of ruminating over, is like, just like you said, after the show, he's reconnected with the Force. He knows about the path. And if we connect it with a thread that leads to A New Hope, where he saves Luke, he's very much gung-ho about starting this adventure and taking Luke into his first steps. Which is a stark contrast from where he was in the beginning of the show. And so we need an Obi-Wan that is full of hope and full of purpose that he then passes on to Luke. So the story really is the next 17, 18 years of him training with Qui-Gon and figuring out his purpose and coming to terms with where he needs to be when Luke is of age. And I think that is the story with Quinlan and the path, like helping people, helping survivors get through this long period of time where Force sensitives are being not only ostracized but criminalized and hunted down. And he has a lot of moral regret to work off from letting, I forget that one Jedi's name, letting them die.
Yeah.
So that's the story, but I don't know if people are going to be interested in it without Vader.
There's also something to, like, if we did have something that was kind of like an anthology thing, and it's just stories of Obi-Wan being Luke's guardian angel. So like, he's doing this thing that's really stupid, and he falls off, and then like, but somehow he falls off and he's going to land on his head, but somehow he like spins and doesn't hit his head and like break his neck, and he's like, that was weird. I wonder what happened. And it's just Obi-Wan is like, Christ, these Skywalkers, god damn it.
And then afterwards he says another happy landing.
Good night, Eric. You have a good one.
Appreciate you rocking with us. Also, Choco, I believe that thing you do is underrated as well.
Yes. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much. Oh, I have not been paying attention. Thank you to Eric. First of all, good night, and we'll see you later. But thank you to Eric for the 19. What is that? The 19 corns and the 1 heart juice. And thank you to Kyle XD for the 2 roses. Appreciate it. Do them all confrontation? I don't know. I think that duel lives in history as one of the greatest duels, and unless they do it 1-to-1 and don't touch a damn thing, just don't.
I can't picture it being done better than it was already done.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I don't
For that reason, I'm out.
need it.
Anyways, like Spooky, if you could tell an Obi-Wan season 2, what would the story be? There's and I think that's the only story that I want told, because I want Quinlan.
Also for fictional bands, I also want to throw in the Beats from Doug. They had great hits like I Need More Allowance and Killer Tofu.
Killer Tofu.
Yeah. Oh, also, since I've been watching One Piece, I also have to say Downward Spiral. Just because I love Law, and he reminds me of Trent from Daria, and that was Trent's band.
Maybe an adventure with Cal 4? I'm just kidding. I know what you mean. That would be an interesting story to tell about how they met. But we know we're getting the next Jedi game, so we'll see if Cal joins the sacred timeline. Speaking of diegetic music, I think more people need to watch Carol and Tuesday. Have you?
Nope.
I'll show you a trailer after this. It's in the Cowboy Bebop universe.
Oh, okay.
So the planet they're on, it's the future of Cowboy Bebop, and there's a girl who wants to be a musician. She runs into another girl that's Carol and Tuesday. They start making music. Sick music.
Okay.
Could we potentially have Obi-Wan Clone Wars flashbacks with him and Cody in Ahsoka?
Yeah, I do think in Ahsoka we will get Clone Wars flashbacks.
Is a
I don't know.
flashback
This is
him
just
getting his
me
lightsaber
being...
and Cody going, "Why the hell did I just do that?"
I am just, after watching Andor, that show had no fluff. It had nothing extra. It had no filler. It didn't really have anything that stole the spotlight from the writing and acting in the show itself. And so after seeing that and what we can have and the conversations that we have based off of the show, I just don't want to go back to what it was before. You know what I mean? Like, you remember when Obi-Wan season 1 came out? This sucks. I hate it. Everything's wrong. This is terrible. Flashback. This is the greatest thing ever. And like, it irritated me to my very soul. You know, I enjoy. I have my problems with Ahsoka. I enjoy it, but I mean, I don't think the episode with Anakin was the best episode of the show. I
also think that scene just made sense contextually.
But I.
Like, we saw Rex in the background, but it wasn't like gratuitously, here's Rex and the clones. Right?
Yeah, no, it made sense, but it's almost like when you talk to someone about Rogue One and the only thing they like is the Vader scene. I feel like there's just ends up being this weird focus on the wrong thing, and it takes the conversation in the bad direction. And I want to avoid it, but I think that might just be my own chip on my shoulder. So I don't know.
Well, there's also, I mean, we also have like PTSD with all of the Order 66 scenes. It's like, we know. we know what happened. So I don't know. I think if we do get some Clone Wars flashbacks in the in a potential Obi-Wan season 2, it's gonna have to be what I always say. It's gonna have to make sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any sense in a Cody and Obi-Wan flashback. And since Vader wouldn't be a part of the narrative, it doesn't make sense that he has a flashback with the Anakin either. I think he has a flashback with Siri Tachi.
Well,
and Orsatine. And they say her name.
I also, also, if they do that, if they have flashbacks or cameos or anything like that, I also want them to be shot like a normal scene. You know what I mean? like there's
the Clone Wars flashback in Ahsoka was just a red room filled with smoke. And then they were like, let's go to the battlefield, and they just run into the smoke. Like, I get the whole motif, but it did feel cheap as well.
So that part feels cheap, but I also mean, like, so there's a scene when C-3PO comes to the meeting to say that, you know, that Leia approves or whatever, but they shoot C-3PO with the hero shot. It was just it was weird. Like it clashed with what was happening in the scene. You know what I mean? It was shot for us. It wasn't shot for the scene, and I think that's weird as well.
Covert says, I just mean because Ewan has expressed wanting to wear the Clone Wars armor. Yeah, I'm not against Clone Wars flashbacks for Obi-Wan. This is what I mean by like it narratively making sense. Like if he has a flashback of him on a mission alone, and it has something to do with what he's dealing with at the present, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your Old Republic video inspired me to get next Star Wars tattoo on Tuesday. Well, I beat you because I got my next one already. You guys, I mean, it's healing right now, so it's blotchy, but I don't know if you guys can. It's based on the world between worlds. That's the symbol atop of the first gate. That's a symbol atop the next gate. These are the wolves running around.
Okay.
And these are all the glyphs that are present around all of the gates. Originally, I wanted to have a band with the gates around it, like a watch, like it just like there's like a circle. But like my TA wanted my arm to be going through the gates, right? So one gate here, the other gate here, and my arm goes through them.
Yeah, well, you got to pull Ahsoka out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Love Loth Wolves. Yeah, I posted a preview of it being stenciled, and everybody clocked the Loth Wolves. I was like, Jesus Christ. You guys are on point. You're locked in.
You know what's funny is that actually is one that I thought of because I actually made a design myself. I don't know if you remember the very first T-shirt I ever made as Darth Choco. It was it was two Loth wolves. It was like one of those wolf shirts, but it's Loth wolves and they're howling at a Death Star. And it was fantastic. I have to see if I can find that file somewhere. It's somewhere on my computer.
Yeah, I don't know. I love tattoos now. It's just you're immortalizing your fandom. I'm literally wearing Star Wars on my arms. And I might, to be honest, get a One Piece one very soon too.
Good. Black Sheep from Clash at the Demon Head. The song that Brie Larson sings and Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Love that song.
Yeah.
Just another one of them. Anyways.
Oh, would buy it for the channel. Get on that design, Choco. I was about to say Chico.
I mean, I just have to find it, you know. By the way, I also have cute little chibi designs for the droids. I need to do something with those as well.
Spooky says I'd get a pin-up Princess Leia tattoo. I'm sorry, what? Did you just say
Princess Leia?
Did you just say someone other than Padme?
You only say Padme all day and all night, and there's even a Padme picture that is on the side of battleships in the Star Wars universe, and then you say Leia one? It's just weird. It's not wrong. I just didn't expect it from you.
I actually would get one of the Queen's book covers as a tattoo. If I were a huge Padme head. This one.
Okay.
And then on the other side, maybe I would do Leia, her daughter. On the other side. I can't believe you. Oh, you already have a Natalie Portman tattoo. That doesn't mean you can't get another one. Honestly.
I like that it's not a Padme tattoo. It's a Natalie Portman tattoo.
I mean, are they different people?
It's just interesting. You know what I mean? It's specifying something.
Like this one is literally just Natalie Portman in a Nubian dress.
Nubian, huh?
Oh, this cover too. This was what I was thinking of. The kind of split between Padme and Queen Amidala. Who's Padme? You're out of your mind. Out your mind. I have Marvel, Jurassic Park, and Lord of the Rings, but no Star Wars. I'm ashamed. Hey, man, get like that'd be so funny. Just get one that says Star Wars in like Comic Sans. No, just get this. That's an easy tattoo right there. But I'm more connected to like getting highly symbolic imagery, so someone can see Satil and Malgus and be like, "Is that the devil?" Yes. Getting for Light and Life in Orbesh to make my one that has do or do not. There is no try in Orbesh. Nice.
Ooh, I do like that.
You should get it underneath that so it says do or do not. There is no try for Light and Life. Which changes the message completely.
I actually found out that that Cal's sister Tina, her and her husband's wedding rings, they got forged by the same people who did the Lord of the Rings ring.
Nice.
And in Elvish, it actually has a Harry Potter quote. I can't remember which quote it was, but on the inside of the ring.
There's a Harry Potter quote in Lord of the Rings Elvish. Nice. If I were to get anything engraved on like a wedding ring, it would say, "You down? UDTF?" Or
maybe my wife and I will get matching tattoos where one of them, they're both in Arabic, and one of them just says, one says "I love you," the other one says "I know." So it might
it's a
be
good
cool.
one. It's a good one. A long time ago, my ex, we had matching bracelet charms, which was like two halves of a rebel symbol. And then once it was "I love you" and then "I know" on the back. That didn't last, did it? It's almost like marrying the sequel trilogy.
How did you get in there? Oh my
Focus,
God, this cat.
determination, gusto, courage. My wife has "live long and prosper" in Vulcan down her spine. Nice.
That's cool. I like that.
I often thought about what I would get on my back if I did get one, but I haven't landed on anything yet. And I also haven't decided if I want to get anything on my back, because it would just mean that I would have to do this all the time. Be like, "Hey, you want to see it?" You know. That's why I started with my arms to begin with. It's just something that's there. If I were to get a One Piece tattoo,
I do have to ask you a One Piece question. Have you been grossed out yet by Nico Robin's powers at all? Okay. In Thriller Bark, the first time she does the hand wings, it was just really gross to me, and I hated it so much.
I mean, it comes down to like the Rorschach test thing. Like, I saw wings. I wasn't focusing on what made them wings.
Okay, yeah, no, I just saw like a bunch of hands, just weird, fleshy, like, ugh, I hate it.
No.
I love her.
Although you know her, I forget the name of it. Gigantesco Mano, where they are giant. That's kind of borderline, but
Yeah.
but you know, it hasn't really grossed me out. There are some powers. What other powers besides that grosses you out?
Nothing else really. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, since you're in the 600s now, you're like about where I am, which is weird.
I thought you were 700.
Oh yeah. I'm where it said. So, some of the arcs are really long. There is someone who their ability has a lot of like snot and stuff, and it's kind of gross. That one does gross me out. You'll see.
Mandalorian Cover says, "I was thinking Phoenix Squadron actually." Oh. Get it, you know? Like you said, you're ashamed. And I will shame you along with you.
I wanted, or still want, the Alphabet Squadron, you know, like on the side of the book, it is the silhouette of the different ships, of an X-wing, of a Y-wing, of a B-wing, like streaking across, and I don't even know where I would put that. I don't know.
I actually think that silhouette in general is just a good motif for a tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, let's see. No, I don't want to go to Amazon. Like this one.
I actually want the one that's where they're flying straight. Well, I'm torn between the one where they're straight and that one.
Yeah, like this. Oh. Where did you just go? This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that motif too. Like the first one is just the one. Oh, and each of them is a different ship.
Yeah, I mean, because that's Alphabet Squadron. You know what I mean? Like you have your X-wing, you have Will Lark in the A-wing. Thane, what do you?
One.
Sorry, my cats has been an absolute menace recently.
Oh, you've got. You've got it isolated now. You could just grab it. And in actuality, you can probably do a version of this with the vertical ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see. Lost Stars cover? That's a good one too.
Ooh, yeah.
That's still our old book club Discord server icon.
I'm gonna get a silhouette of an X-wing, but as a tramp stamp. Instead of a butterfly, it's just the X-wing. That'd be cool.
A tramp stamp. X-wing works. Fondor.
I mean, I could go Dune with the ornithopter.
A tramp stamp of Dedra. Put S-foils in locked position. Ooh. No, it's in attack position. Honestly, though, the reason I'd pick a Leia tattoo over... Now you're just misspelling Padme. Ladme is just because the hair buns and white dress are so iconic. Yeah. Padme's got an iconic look, too. This one.
Basically the whole rumors of an Obi-Wan 2 was started off by a noted scooper or leaker, right? That was Daniel Rickman. And then we had another person who also does those, which is a John Schneider from the In Schneider, saying no, they aren't doing that. So we got it both ways.
There's a rumor that another Star Wars show is in the works. I could be a scooper too. This is my favorite one because Padme's midsection is legendary. Or Natalie Portman, however you want to put it.
What's funny is that particular outfit, I like it so much better when it's full. I mean, with the whole thing, with the cloak. And if you're talking about her abs, I think the better outfit is the blue one that she wears on Tatooine.
When she was 14?
That's her best one. What? No. What?
Because she was on Tatooine in a blue tunic.
She was in blue on Tatooine in Attack of the Clones. Do you not remember? That's the best look.
This one?
Yes, that's the yeah. But in context, you have to see it in the movie.
This one was also blue. When she was 14. Darker. Now we're just sitting here creeping on her abs.
What do you mean we?
You're the one that mentioned her blue dress.
You're the one who
know,
said her
but you're
midsection is
participating.
legendary.
You're participating. You're saying if you want to see some abs.
No, I just said I like her blue dress, and I actually like the white one when it's full with the cloak and everything. I think it looks better like that. And her best all white look is from the 2D animated Clone Wars.
Listen,
That's just my opinion.
we do our fair share of thirsting on this channel. So
No,
let's not mince
listen.
words.
I'm not hating on you. Listen, I was talking about Ironheart's abs last week. So, you know.
We both were. And you're proud of me say you'll accept me saying we on that one, but you don't wanna join in on the ab train for Padme?
I would like to stay respectfully off the train for now. I with an option to join later.
What do you mean? The train goes full speed all the time. Spooky Kitty is the conductor. No worries, I did a Chimere Thirst video today. We get it. We gotta appreciate. Exactly. Exactly. You know, Isabella Merced, Adria Arona.
You didn't have to lick your lips there, man.
No, I
know. It was just funny
Realistically-
timing. It was just funny timing.
Anna de Armis. Listen, just like to appreciate the female body. You know. There's nothing wrong with that sentence.
There's nothing wrong with that sentence, but it's when you say it like that it gets weird. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Anyways, guys, that's it for this show. Thank you guys for rocking with us and hanging out with us every Friday for this one. Next week, we're trying to invite Bang Flash Bam onto the show to talk about the nuances of love and attachment. So bring your A game in terms of critical analysis. I don't want to see no sentences in the chat that says being in a relationship is an attachment, loving someone is an attachment, or Anakin was saved by an attachment. Okay? Otherwise, we'll probably talk about something else because we do want to save that topic for that particular guest, as they've made several videos on the subject matter. I remember Bang Flash Bam also made videos on Rashomon when I was making that during Acolyte. When I was
They got great takes, yeah.
when I was analyzing Rashomon and telling people about what it was that made that style so prevalent in modern storytelling. I am coming with Avar Chris attachment lore. There's no attachment there. Hello. The first thing they say when they the first thing they say when they accept each other is our Jedi duty comes first. We can't let each other come between us and what we have to do for light and life. Okay? So there's an acceptance there. This is what I wanted to say. This again, we're warning you guys that love itself is not an attachment.
It's only an attachment if you can't let go.
So
Right? Like it's literally attached. If you can't let it go, it's attached.
and we keep on saying
It's not holding it.
unconditional love colloquially is no strings attached. So when you love someone unconditionally, that means there's nothing in there that that is required for that love.
Yeah.
And if it means you have to let them go, then you let them go. Attachments are healthy. Is that the sentence you want to say at the end of this show? Super Ruiz. Because I
Again,
can tell you...
relationships are healthy.
not like blanketly, like, because there are some toxic relationships.
True.
But it just comes down to love. I mean, love is healthy. Compassion is healthy. Unconditional love is healthy. You know, possessing someone and being unable to let them go or having conditions for said love is an attachment. So we have to be careful that we don't conflate the two, right? Kanan and Hera, for example. Kanan was able to let go of his attachment, sacrifice himself, and even detached himself from a mission that his bias would cause problems for.
Yeah. So Kanan and Hera had a healthy relationship with each other. It wasn't an attachment, though.
Yeah. Same thing with, situationally, Ezra couldn't do anything, but like, he moved on. He was living with his turtle peoples and he was rocking with them. And then when Sabine came out, she's like, "Oh, it's you! You guys are here, okay?" It's not like he was like on the edge of the cliff, like for 250 days, just looking at the stars. I hope you guys come back.
I still maintain, he's just little brother, to Sabine, and he would be barking up the wrong tree if he tried.
Oh, there's no question. I did at some point, like when they were like teenagers at the beginning of like Rebels, and he was kind of like he was kind of like trying to spit game. I was like, okay, Ezra, you can try.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my sister used to date boys too.
But yeah, when they got older, their relationship changed, and there was no. You can see actually in one of my really old videos how very, very early on I was shipping them hard because I had the Ezra plus Sabine equals Rey theory, like way back then. Obviously, that's not a thing. But yeah. Fear of losing attachment versus appreciating attachment and its value in the scope of the Force. Well, this is why we say you're conflating love with attachment. Because
so everything you're saying is right. It's just that the relationship itself is not the attachment, right? It's their love is not the attachment.
Yeah.
And you even quoting the High Republic, did you read Race to Crashport Tower? Because in the very beginning of that book, they do spell it out pretty clearly, Lula Talisola, who is also a great candidate to be what's her name from Human Hunters. It's like I'm just a whole ball of attachments, because I love all of my friends and I love my family. Like she has that same argument that you're making, So how do I live when I have all these attachments with everyone? And she's asking Vernestra how to do this, and then Vernestra like makes her think like, well, listen, you love your your master and you love your friends, right? She's like, yes. And she's like, if they were in trouble, would you save them? Yes, absolutely. And she asks, what if there's someone that's not your friend or an enemy? Would you save them? She's like, well, yeah, of course. That's the right thing to do. And it goes, okay, let me ask you this. If by saving your friend or family, if that meant that you would never see them again, but you would know that they'd be safe, would you still do it? And she's like, yes, of course. Like, well, then that's not an attachment, right? You'd be saving them for them. It's not something that you're doing it because you can't let go of them. That's what makes an attachment. And she does spell that out in the beginning of Race to Crash Point Tower. I highly recommend jumping back into that. But that's the thing we kind of want to talk about, is a lot of people's opinions on the subject are made from conflating attachment with relationship, and they're not the same thing.
Yeah. And finally, with that statement, we are connected, that doesn't mean we are attached. My two fingers are connected right now, but they can come apart. I can shake Choco's hand when I go see him. That is a connection, but we can let go of each other's hand.
Right? I think Last of Us is one of the best examples of this, because what Joel does in the end of the first game, anyone who's a parent understands being willing to burn the world down for your child. That's an attachment. That is not what she wanted. Yeah. That's not what the world needed. He couldn't let go, and so he killed a lot of people, and that created a whole chain reaction. And I'm not saying what he did was right or wrong or whatever. What I am saying is that if he were a Jedi and his job was to protect the galaxy, that would be the wrong thing to do. But that doesn't mean he couldn't have the same relationship with the character, and they couldn't be friends, they couldn't love or care for each other, because we see that throughout all of Star Wars. But yeah, we'll talk about this more next week.
Super Ruiz, you're poking at the hornet's nest. We will have this conversation next week, and you're more than welcome to call in next week when we have this discussion, hopefully with our guest Bang Flash Bam, and we'll explore it.
If you don't come on, you better at least join, because I will have a quote directly from someone in the Lucasfilm story group for you.
And it all comes, listen, just like Mandalorian Covert on TikTok says, the quote from Anakin of Attack of the Clones is the exact quote that everyone should be taking from. Compassion, unconditional love is central to a Jedi's life. Possession, obsession. That stuff happens when your love turns into a need, right? And that's what happened with Padme. He needed her. Couldn't picture her losing her life. He didn't know how she was going to die. He just had a vision of her dying and did everything in his power to try to prevent whatever was going to happen. That was just bad.
It also goes to Phantom Menace, where Obi-Wan is thinking of the future, and he says, but not at the expense of the moment. That's actually part of the attachment. It's being so connected to an outcome that you can't handle it. You're so attached to it. But yeah, you can also look up Buddhist detachment, and you'll also see.
If you take it that far, not everyone does. No one has. No one is Anakin and causes genocides for the love of their life. Not that I am aware of in history. Like maybe in the Iliad, that's a poem with like Helen of Troy and.
Yeah, well, who almost took it that far is Luke. When Luke set out to do something very specific in Return of the Jedi, but when Vader threatened his sister, he lost all composure, right? That was the attachment. The thing a lot of people get wrong is they're like, no, it was his love for his dad. That's the attack. No, he was able to let go, just like Anakin in that movie was also able to let go of his hate and let go of the past, because that's what his attachment was too. Which is another thing people miss, is the attachment is not only related to people. You could be attached to the Jedi Order itself, which is what the Jedi's problem was. They were so attached to what the Jedi were as an idea that they lost what they were supposed to do to live up to it. But yeah, you could be too attached to anything.
We'll leave it at this. A relationship is not an attachment, because when you break up with someone, hopefully you don't grab their hand and prevent them from leaving. Because then that would just be abduction. You have to let them go. You might be sad. You might cry for the next few days and be within your feelings, but...
Also, because George Lucas directly said it, too. But again, I'll come with more quotes next week.
All right, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Everybody on the TikTok side, thank you for the 1,100 likes. Thank you for participating in the conversation. Our final tally for Mace is 75, Dooku 25. Thank you for the gifts. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. And that's it. On to the next one.
For Light and for Life.
We are all detached.
And may Padme's abs be with you.
Oh, we joined the train.